Hello and welcome to another video. Today we are going through Sketchbook 47 and I'm just going to jump right into it. There are some pictures that I covered up just because I get super embarrassed easily through like romantic stuff. So yeah, it's nothing that's like NSFW or anything. It's just sometimes I get a little bit flustered and so I'm not really comfortable sharing some things. So yeah, that's it. Anyway, yeah, so we're just going to jump in. So I started this one on September 18th of 2023 and I finished it in March 2024, so that's September, about 7 months. So yeah, that's typically how long it takes me to finish a sketchbook nowadays. And also the sketchbook is pretty thick and I did do drawings on both sides of the paper. So yeah, these are my OCs, Paxton and Valentine. I don't know why I keep forgetting Valentine's name, but yeah, they are part of that like college OC verse that I have. Then Valentine is part of the frat, and then Paxton is like part of this nerd friend group that the frat guys don't like, basically. And then just some more Paxton and Valentine that I just went through. Mostly it's like comics in this sketchbook, and then also a bunch of AUs. Like this is a Butler AU where Paxton is like a businessman, and then Valentine is like his butler. And I did a bunch of Zorros, and then I did a page of Sanjis. I really like the page of Zorros. Some of these I don't really like too much. Like this one's not my favorite. And then I drew Zoro as Toshi Fushiguro from Jujutsu Kaisen. No offense if you like Jujutsu Kaisen, not really a big fan, but I do like the way that the mangaka draws clothes and like the literally baggy pants. And so I wanted to do that. And this is Zoro's egghead outfit. Obviously it's from September 2023. I think I wrote that because I drew the egghead outfit previously, and so I wanted to show like my progression. And so I do think this drawing is worse than that other one, but you know, what are you gonna do? And then I did these Sanjis. I don't know what it is about Sanji. I cannot draw Sanji to save my life. I like Sanji. I mostly like Sanji. Obviously his bit where he's like super cool and then he sees a girl and he becomes super lame. I'm not super a fan of that just as a girl, but when Sanji is super cool, I'm like, wow, Sanji's so cool, I like him so much. And then he does something that is like having to do with women and I'm like, maybe I don't like Sanji at all, really. But yeah, so I don't know, I've never been able to draw Sanji, so maybe it's I have like the cognitive dissonance in my head being like, don't draw that man. Then we have some of Hope and, what's his name? Hope and James. This is actually a redraw of another thing that I did. And then this is also going to be a redraw, but I never finished it because I'd actually already done this page before I did this page. I actually jumped around a lot in this sketchbook. And so I've really been going back and forth on things. Just because I was like, well, I planned out this spread a little bit. And so I like sectioned off the paper, but I didn't really plan out this one. So I didn't section off the paper for enough space, right? This is Cricket and Kamau, but in like a Regency AU where Cricket was a farmer and his like great uncle died or whatever, and he inherited his fortune and also like his either dukedom or earldom or something, and so he has to be like a fancy guy now. And Kamau is like his rival, and he's like, you don't even know how to do any of this stuff. You shouldn't even be here. You're a farmer. Anyway, so yeah, that's fun. This is another comic that I did of Cricket and Kamau. It was just a little comic that I had made previously and I wanted to redraw it. There's a lot of redraws in this sketchbook just because I was really trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and so when I really don't know what to do, I do redraws, and so this whole comic is a redraw. So obviously the paneling is not super great on this just because they're just talking back and forth and there's not really any variation in paneling. This is before I knew that you're supposed to vary the panels kind of a little bit, and so I was just like, well, they're just talking to each other. So there's not super a lot of variation with these panels. If I was going to approach it now, I would try to obviously vary this a little bit because obviously the composition, like you get the point of the comic across, but it's not very interesting to look at, I feel like, in my opinion. So yeah, it's just a comic about Cricket's name just because Kamau is Scottish, and so I don't know if Scottish people would name their kid like Cricket or whatever, but he's like, that's a weird ass name. Is your name really Cricket? And he's like, yeah, my name is really Cricket. And they're like, that's dumb, that's stupid. And I don't know, every time I draw Cricket eating a lot. He's always eating something in a bowl. And I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be ice cream. Even though I drew this and I wrote it or whatever, I'm not entirely sure what he's eating. I'm pretty sure it's ice cream though. It's just something, I just wanted him to have like a spoon in his mouth and in his hand. So he's eating ice cream. And also his name is Cricket. I actually did, when I did the original comic, it was revealed that it was actually a fake ID that he showed him, and so his name may or may not actually be Cricket. But I think that his name is Cricket. I'm pretty sure I want his name to be Cricket. Duke and Kamau are playing basketball. I just wanted to draw them playing basketball. And also I wanted to do different body types. So Kamau is actually on a thinner side, and Duke is actually on the wider side. Just, I don't know. And you know what? I always draw Duke with either his shirt off or like with this like tank top thing. I don't know why that is. I guess just when I have the idea of like douchey frat guy, his shirt is always off, or he's got like a tank top on. I don't know. This is a vampire AU, and this is Duke, and that's Katsuo as the reluctant vampire hunter. And this is actually more this is actually not having to do with like the vampire story, because even in the vampire story they've known each other for a long time, so him asking how old are you would not be canon because he would know how old he is. They've known each other since like high school. So this is like an AU where they haven't met before, but he's been like a vampire for like 2 weeks. Some more Duke and Katsuo and Kamau, but it's just like, if he's like, why were you even at the house? And they get all embarrassed. And that's Katsuo and Cricket. This is Emerson and Cole in a boxing AU, and he's like, I don't want to fight him because he's so small, and then he gets his ass kicked. Even though I fucked it up because he's got a boxing glove here. He's supposed to have boxing gloves on, and then in most of the frames he's missing the boxing glove, so it's like, what was even the point, guy? This is some more Cole and Emerson getting into fights. They have a very antagonistic relationship with each other, so I actually really draw them fighting quite a lot. These are actually some OCs you probably haven't seen before because I scrapped them. I got rid of them. They were part of the same story as Duke, Kamau, Katsuo, Cricket, all those guys. They were all in the same story. They were all part of the same friend group, and their names are Ace and Hux, which is short for Huxley. But I was like, 10 characters is too many, and these guys are like the least developed out of all of them, and it's not that I didn't like them, I was just like, their personalities don't really fit with the rest of the group, because Ace was supposed to be like a nice calm guy, and then Huxley was supposed to be like the crazy guy, and that's what their dynamic was supposed to be. But I was like, no, I don't want it in here anymore. They still exist. There's 3 characters I have. I actually put them as part of Hope's story because Hope was supposed to have like, he's supposed to have like at least 8 demon brothers, and so I just made Hux one of his demon brothers just because I liked his design. Not this one obviously, but this twin braids and like the sharp teeth and like the jagged beard and the jagged eyebrows. I was like, this is actually not a very good appearance for more of like a grounded sort of contemporary type story that like the college guys is. But Hope's story is a bit more fantastical and weird and like silly, and so I was like, that appearance fits more for him. And then Ace, he plays a different part in the story, but that's like way later on. But yeah, this is an AU where they are a baker and an assassin. This is more of that college friend group. And this is, obviously they don't get along, but this is like a comic where if they did start getting along, they were talking and they're like, you're from the South, you have a lot in common, but the joke is they're from Tennessee and Texas. So yeah, if you're from the South, that might be funny to you. This is a page where I wanted to do all of them together with markers. I think it came out really ugly, but that's okay. I wanted to draw their bodies, so I drew them in with their regular color. And then I was like, I'll just go over it with marker. Like, is it? But then I was like, no, I don't really like the look of that. And then I didn't even finish half of them. Like, these 2 I spent a lot of time on because I did them first. And then the rest of them I was just like, I don't care. And then these colors are official. I mean, the colors like orange, red, blue, green, those are official colors. But the rest of it, don't take it as like gospel. That's not what they look like. I have not had official colors for any of them yet. So, yeah. Like Cricket's hair, I feel like is too light there. It's supposed to be like a sandy sort of brown. This blonde is like way too light for him. And also, don't take the heights as gospel either, because I wanted this guy to be a little bit smaller. And some of them, I wanted them to be taller. Like, I wanted them to have a bit of I wanted these 2 to be a bit closer in size, but a little bit more of a gap in height. But yeah. This is actually a paneling out of a comic that not a comic that I wrote. I write these characters in like book form first, I guess, And so I've been writing for them for a long time. And so I like, well, I'll just draw them and I'll like make AUs for them, and I'll like draw comics of their stuff. And so this is actually a scene. This is actually the second half of the scene. The first half is also in this sketchbook, but I didn't show it to you because it was right next to a page that was embarrassing. So I got rid of it. Anyway, this is a mermaid AU where Katsuo picks up Duke in the ocean, and he's like, oh, he's a mermaid. And then a little comic about, hey, you can't see, I'll move his hair. And he's like, you can talk. And he's like, yeah, I can talk. I didn't have anything to say. This is Cricket. And Kamau doesn't really look like Kamau, but I was like, well, if it's an AU, you don't have to look exactly the same as you do in, like, the original story. That's, like, the fun of AUs. So it's a siren AU where he's a siren, and he keeps coming up to his fishing boat and, like, eating his new employees because they don't know about sirens. And he's, like, so tired and over it. He's like, stop eating my employees. But yeah, that's fun. A comic with Cricket and Duke, where Cricket's like, don't you have like a thing for the letter K? And Duke's like, what the hell are you talking about? But that's just what that comic is about. Something sort of fun. I wanted to draw them interacting because I really only draw them interacting in the pairs that I have assigned to them. And then a little bit with like their friend group, but mostly in their pairs. And so I was like, well, if we're writing like realistic character relationships and like him and his friend have like a thing going on, right? They would obviously interact with each other, right? And that's in both directions. So it's like, what would their interactions be like? And so that's what this little comic is for. I'm sorry, because it's yellow. You might not be able to see it too well. Sorry about that. I wasn't drawing these with the idea of having readability. This is Cole and Emerson in the band AU. I really like this drawing of Emerson. I did this when I was like really frantic. I was like feeling really anxious about something. So I just drew this out really fast. But I really like the energy of it. Not so much the Cole, but the Emerson I like a lot. And so this is them in a band AU, and Emerson's like, you only dress up for performances? And he's like, yeah, because I need to have a real job. You're a poser whose dad pays for everything. This is a redraw of that Hux and Ace page of the Being the Baker, because I hated that one. And I was like, it's my sketchbook. I can redraw it 2 pages later if I want to. And so I did. And I like this one a lot better. Also because I solidified a design for Hux. Obviously, this AU is no longer relevant because they are, well, it was never relevant because it is AU, but I'm not really drawing them too much these days. But this is like the whole comic. You guys can read these if you want, pause or whatever. This sketchbook is mostly comics, just because that's why I like to draw and doodle. But yeah, this is a redraw of Duke and Kamau. I do a lot. And then this is also a redraw of him being like, we're just going to go out and drink. And I actually had already drawn on the back page, so I couldn't make this comic longer. But I did. I wanted to. Oh my God. Sorry, my dog is asleep, but he's so cute. Superhero AU with Valentine and Paxton. He's like, do you like my superhero suit? And he's like, ugh. More Ace and Hux. I'm sorry. All these characters have names. Every time I'm going to say them, I forget what they are. Ace and Hux, but I covered up most of it because it was embarrassing. And this page is also covered up because it's embarrassing. Interpret that what you will. This is a Kamau and Cricket comic that I did. This was a Kamau and Cricket comic that I did about Cricket being like, their friend Maya. Their friend Maya actually features pretty prominently in the story, and she's also part of like a spin-off story that I have planned. But I don't draw her, and I really need to draw her and her love interest also, but I never think of drawing them together. I think of ideas for these guys, and so I need to think of like her love interest. She doesn't even have a name yet. Like, it's Maya and some random chick who doesn't have a name. She needs a name. Anyway, so I need to come up with a name for her, and once I do that, I feel like I'll be motivated to draw them a little bit more. But that's who Maya is. But she was like, she thinks you're hot, but I don't. I think you're fucking ugly. So he's like, fuck you. And then they go on like a hunt to like get phone numbers from girls or whatever, which is like not good to do. Okay, none of my characters, if you see my character and you're like, oh, they look like a nice person, most of them are assholes in one way or another. So don't ever be like, oh, they're so cute, so fun. Like, most of them are jerks. Okay, I'm just being honest. Even the characters in Hope's story, several of them are terrible people. I don't know why I'm just attracted. I don't want to like write about like super righteous heroes. I don't know why. It's not that I don't like those characters. I actually really do like those characters. I'm like, oh, they're so sweet, so cute. But every time I make an OC, they're kind of like a dick. So, yeah. Don't go on a competition to get friends, to get girls' numbers to show off to some guy that you hate. Or even a guy that is like your friend or whatever. Don't do that. That's fucked up. Anyway. So they go and they compete, and he's like, he's actually getting girls to talk to him, even though he's like an ugly little troll. This is 100% not canon, by the way. This would never be canon. Cricket cannot talk to girls. Cricket is like a bumbling fool when it comes to women. And so this will not work. Kamau would 100% decimate that competition. But I just wanted to make it for like fun. Some more stuff that it made me embarrassed. I wanted to draw them in like photo booths, basically. But when I did this, I made the lines first, and then I drew them, and I was like, this is not what I planned on looking like. And also, look at this. I broke my goddamn sketchbook, you guys. Just one day I was drawing with it, and I heard crack, and I was like, what the fuck? And right down the center, I can just glue it back down, but I don't have any, like, Mod Podge or whatever. And they're like, don't just use Elmer's glue. It's bad. It won't last forever. And I'm like, I don't need it to last forever. But now I'm like, it's not ripping off from the back. It's just this part kept unglued, and so I'm like, if I need to get some glue and glue it down, I have a lot of glue because I like to make slime, so if it starts to bother me, I'm gonna glue it down, but I've already finished it, so I don't think it's gonna bother me too much anymore. But anyway, yeah, this is just them in photo booths. This is like the best one, I think, just because they're like actually doing photo booth stuff. The rest of them are just like doing jack shit. I mean, these guys are fighting. This is them being vampire hunters, because I was exploring the idea of their story. Instead of being a contemporary, it was being like a vampire story instead, like supernatural story. But I was like, I'm still going back and forth on it. And actually, these two spreads are what made me decide to get rid of Ace and Hux, just because I had already drawn the other 4 in both pictures, and then I was like, oh, I forgot them. And so I kind of added them on as an afterthought, and I was like, well, if they were really important characters, I wouldn't be thinking of adding them on as an afterthought. So I was like, I think it's time for them to go. Not that I don't like them. I do like them, but they're just more side characters and not like main characters who would get their own section of the story, you know? Beach Day, I never finished this one because this drawing came out super shitty and the sizes are all off and I didn't like it. Oh, sorry. This is actually also a day at the beach. I was trying to design different, the idea of different like beach clothes. And so I did it with them, and then I was like, well, I want to do it with the other guys too. And then I never did it. This is actually a redraw, a little comic that I did of Paxton talking about something passionately and Valentine not listening because he's too busy looking at him. This is a page of James. This is actually James getting his job at the restaurant. This is not canon or anything. I was just exploring ideas. But yeah, and then he meets Hope, and he's like nervous because he's handsome, which is accurate because Hope is handsome. If I met Hope in real life, I'd be nervous. This is a cute little thing. I thought about covering this page up because it also embarrasses me a little bit. But you guys can keep it, but I'm not going to talk about it, so just look at it. This was a really big comic that I was planning out. I was just thumbnailing it because I had an idea for Valentine and Emerson to go hang out with the nerds and do D&D, but Emerson doesn't know that they're going to do a D&D. He thinks it's just a regular party. And Valentine's like, hey, I need you to come be my wingman and stuff. And he's like, okay, I'll come be your wingman. I don't care. Well, actually, he does care. He's like, I don't want to go. But he's like, okay, I'll go be your wingman because he basically threatens to. He's like, being a bad best friend. And he's like, you're going to help me out, right? I really like the idea of, like, their character interactions between Valentine and Emerson. So Emerson is, like, a politician's son. So he's supposed to be squeaky clean. Like, on the surface, he's squeaky clean. But if you actually get to know him, he's actually, like, an asshole. I know, all my characters are assholes, but yeah, he's actually, like, an asshole. And so his dynamic, basically, is that he thinks he's above people, but people are always, like, shitting on him and kicking his ass. I don't really like characters that are, like, shit on as a joke, but when someone is, like, super pompous, and they get, like, their comeuppance, I actually sort of really like that. So since Emerson is really sort of pompous, he is always getting taken down a peg. And you know what is funny? I actually never draw him being pompous. I only ever draw him getting his comeuppance. And so I feel like I have to start drawing him getting his comeuppance a little bit, so that way, not getting his comeuppance, being pompous, so that way it doesn't seem like I'm bullying him on page, because honestly, I mostly just draw him getting bullied, which makes me feel bad. But yeah, so that's what their dynamic is. It's like they're friends, but also to do what I say kind of type thing. Like, he's not scared of him. They're good friends. But yeah, anyway, so they go to do like the D&D party or whatever, and he's like, oh, these are some more come-outs. You guys saw me do this. I did a video on these come-outs. Now looking back at them, I don't really like them too much, actually, but that's okay. So that's the rest of the comic, and they're there, and he's like angry, and he's like, he's scary, and he's like, he's not scary, right? So yeah, that's the comic, and he's like, you didn't tell me it was gonna be a D&D party, and like, this is them with all their D&D stuff. I didn't want to draw. Oh, this is actually, I covered this up because this was a drawing of Cricket, and I didn't like it, so I was just like, well, I need the space, so I just covered it up. Sticky notes are great in your sketchbook, guys. Before I really didn't like using sticky notes in my sketchbook, just because I'm like, it's like ugly, and you know what, it is ugly, but I don't mind anymore. I don't mind things that are ugly. So it's ugly in my opinion. Okay, if you like sticky notes in your sketchbook, so do I, obviously. But you might be like, they're not ugly, they're beautiful. Okay, good for you. They're beautiful for you. Anyway, and so he's like, I can't do this. It's a party. And he's like, here, I got a character for you to play. That's Cole. Cole also likes to mess with Emerson, so that's why he's coming up there. A drawing. I was gonna do superhero AU for Cricket and come out, but I didn't like the way this drawing came out, and also I was like, this superhero design sucks ass. Actually, this is supposed to be a villain design, and you can't even tell, which is why it sucks ass. So yeah. And then the rest of the comic, I didn't even finish putting in like the hatching or the colors. I might go back and do that later, but probably not. A drawing of Batman. I tried to do this as a video, but I was like, this is coming out really bad. And it's really ugly. And I don't want to show it to people. And now I really don't care. But yeah, it was really bad. I was like, that is bad. I was like trying to design like his batarang to be a little bit sharper, just because edgy, you know. And so I got the Bruce Wayne design. I like it pretty much, but I think he looks a little bit too young. And then I was like, I'll draw his bat suit. And I was like, this is so fucking ugly. And also, it's a no-ref bat suit. That's why I wrote no-ref, so people wouldn't judge me too bad. But it's ugly. But that's okay. And also, I drew this little Batman. I really like Batman when he's a silhouette. So, I drew Batman as a silhouette. There's no more Batman in this sketchbook, so I had to explore some more Batman. This was something for Christmas, but I could not remember what I was going to do, because I drew like these ones at Christmas time, and then I didn't go back to it until like February. So I have no idea. So I was just like, Katsuo with a present. Giving Katsuo a present. I don't know. Some hands. You guys saw me draw these hands. I'm not really going to talk about the hands too much, but those are hands. We're getting to this part of the sketchbook where I do a lot of figure studies. So there's a lot of stuff in the front of the sketchbook, and there's quite a bit of comics at the back of the sketchbook, because I was like, my college friend group of guys are at the front, and so I started doing my Mafia OCs in the back. And so I was like, well, because I didn't want them right next to each other, because I kind of wanted them to be separated. I don't know why. In my brain, I was like, they can't go together. Doesn't make sense. But yeah, so we're getting to the part of the sketchbook where I was sick of working in it. So instead of the studies being in the back to fill up the sketchbook, they're in the middle. So it's a little bit weird. Yeah. Some hopes that I did in a video. You guys saw that video. Some more expressions that I did for Katsuo and Duke. Also, I made a video on these. I made 2 videos on these because these took like an hour, and I wasn't speeding up videos then. This also, you guys saw these in the video. All of the stuff you saw in videos. We're also getting to the point of the sketchbook where I decided to make a YouTube channel. So this is Brago and Sherry from Zatch Bell, and then this is Duke and Kamal. I did this in a video. This is Kira and No Name Man, my Mafia couple OC. He still doesn't have a name. If anybody has any idea for names, I'm open to hearing names. And then I have Brago and Sherry. And I still really like the way these came out. I realized later that I forgot to color in the book, and then I never went back and colored in the book anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Also, if this video gets like outside of my subscribers or anything, and someone's like, hey, that's not supposed to be blue, I know it's not supposed to be blue. I didn't want to get up and get a green just for one part of the drawing, so I made it blue. Okay, I know what color it's supposed to be. Some more figures. This was Valentine and Paxton, and then actor AU, like a celebrity AU, where Valentine is an actor and Paxton is his accountant. And I was gonna do like little comics around the edges, but I didn't end up doing that. I have it written out. I just didn't draw any comic for it. This is Umiko. You guys saw this video. We're getting the stuff that you guys have seen videos for. So Umiko for a video, shoes from a video. I think you guys only saw these shoes, and then I went back and added these shoes in later. This is Yuzu. You guys also saw this in a video, but you didn't see that I made the background black and I fucked the whole thing up. Actually, at the end of the video, you guys saw it as a white background, and that's because I decided not to put in the part where I colored the background in black because I think I really messed it up. I tried to add white paint around the edges so that I could highlight them a little bit better, and I was like, no, it's just so ugly. And so if I ever want to go back and fix it, I do have the videos so I can take screenshots and just redraw them digitally, but I really messed it up at the end, and I was like, I should just go over it with black again so it's not patchy, and I was like, no. So my camera shut off after I finished this. It cut off really right before the footage you just saw, and so I spent 30 more minutes talking to myself like a jackass. So I'm recording this now, and I'm trying not to cry, but we're gonna go over it again, okay? So we were talking about this one. I didn't like the black background. Anyway, that's this page. This was a redraw of my very first digital artwork that I did. I don't know if I'm going to throw it up for you guys, but maybe I will. I plan on redrawing it again digitally, so I might save the original until I do that one, but I don't know. Anyway, so as I drew her, I thought she kind of looked like Hope's mom, because I'm very uncreative with designs, and so I tend to repeat designs. But anyway, I thought she looked like Hope's mom, so I was like, well, I'll just draw her being Hope's mom. Not to say that she is Hope's mom at this point, but I was like, it would be cute, just because Hope's mom, I associate her with yellow, and also she has like an afro. But she actually wears a headband, so she doesn't look exactly like Hope's mom. But yeah, so I just drew her in a little, a greenhouse, because Hope's mom is a florist. This is not flowers, but I can't draw flowers, obviously, because this looks so terrible, but that's okay. It was just supposed to be for fun. Some studies. This is Umiko and Yuzu. You guys have seen them already before. Some more studies. Even more studies. I think these ones were 30 seconds because I didn't finish most of them. This is the inspector and the boss, just in like a cute little comic idea that I had for them based off of that drawing I did of them. The finished spread, the black one, I was just like, well, what if he was asleep and then the boss showed up at his house? So that's basically what this is supposed to be. More studies, some feet, bodies, feet, hands, bodies, hands. Another drawing of my OC Valentine. I was actually trying to redraw that stuff at the front just because this was in March, so I was like, well, it's been like 7 months, so maybe I'll just try to redraw it. I think the one at the front is better, but what can you do? Me exploring the idea of him as a vampire. I didn't finish the page. Like I said, I'm sick of the sketchbook at this point. More studies. Some drawings of Vegeta. You guys already saw this Vegeta in my sticker stuff, but the rest of these Vegetas I also did. I like his dumb little arm right there because I messed it up. But yeah, and then I did a Goku. And then, so I talked about this before. I like these drawings of Vegeta, but I don't feel like they look like Vegeta because I feel like Vegeta is supposed to be, I'm not sure if Vegeta is supposed to be ugly in canon. Something about his personality makes me feel like he should be ugly, but also I'm like, well, I don't think Bulma is like a shallow person, so maybe she wouldn't have married him if she thought that he was ugly, but I don't know. But I also subscribe to like drawing Dragon Ball Z characters based on like fan interpretation, so a lot of people draw them with like pointy ears and sharp teeth based off like their great ape stuff or whatever, and so I'm like, I'm gonna do that too, sorry. And also it helps give like Goku a little bit more of an alien appearance. Since they got rid of his tail, I know that the tails are really inconvenient in canon, and so there's like no point in bringing back the tail, but I don't know, I just think it's a cool aesthetic. And then this is them being like, this is more of like Dragon Ball ZA than it is Dragon Ball fan art, just because I know Dragon Ball ZA is like more comedy and it's like not actually Dragon Ball Z, but whenever I feel like I want to watch Dragon Ball Z, I just watch DBZA just so I can get it faster. And it's available on YouTube, and I don't have to like go find a website that has like Dragon Ball on it. I remember when I first watched Dragon Ball, I actually watched it on YouTube. I don't think Dragon Ball is available on YouTube anymore, but Dragon Ball is actually what got me into Dragon Ball Z. I'd seen my sister watching Dragon Ball Z, and I was like, that looks stupid. But then I found Dragon Ball online, and I was like, I'll watch this. And I didn't know that Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z were part of the same thing. You might be like, that's stupid. Why wouldn't you know that? Listen, there's lots of things that have the similar names, and they're actually not related. So don't bully me, okay? But I watched Dragon Ball first. I was like, oh, Dragon Ball is part of Dragon Ball Z. No way. And so now I like Dragon Ball Z too. But if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan and you've never seen Dragon Ball, watch Dragon Ball, you guys. It's really good. Maybe because if you're like super into fights and you're like super into like beams and stuff, you might not like Dragon Ball as much. It's more like comedy adventure. But it's really good, I promise. If you're ever like, they find the Dragon Ball so easy, watch Dragon Ball. You'll be like, wow, they actually go through a lot to find the Dragon Balls. Like, it's so easy to find the Dragon Balls now. They do it in like a day. But before, it took them so long to find all the Dragon Balls. Some Dragon Ball Z stuff. This was supposed to be Majin Vegeta, but I was doing the hatching and I got carried away and I ended up hatching in his hair because I wasn't thinking. And so I redeemed myself on this page with this Dragon Ball, with this drawing of Majin Vegeta, but I don't like it as much. And then this is Bulma and Vegeta. And listen, I like Vegeta as a short little guy, okay? I don't think him and Bulma should be the same height, and I don't think he should be taller than Bulma. I think he should be shorter than Bulma, okay? I really like it when he's shorter than Bulma. If you guys have ever seen Son Goku and his friends return, he's shorter than Bulma in that one, and I was like, yes, this is peak. I really like this. So, sorry if you guys don't like short Vegeta, but I'm like a short Vegeta truther, okay? He should be short, I feel like, in my opinion. Draw him small. He's like 5'5", 5'3". I think he was like 5'3", and they changed it to 5'5" or something. But he should be tiny. He should be little, in my opinion. Anyway, more studies. Some drawings of Piccolo that I really messed up really bad. I really struggled drawing Piccolo because of these dumb little eyebrow ridges that he has and his little antennae. I think like the antennae make him look silly. But I have to learn how to draw him. I'm drawing him again in my new sketchbook. So I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure it out, you guys. You guys already saw these drawings. This is just my couple that is in the same story as James and Hope. It's John and Jane Doe, but this is just them being cute. More studies. This is not actually a study. This is, or it's just like draw heads. Just draw heads so you can fill up the sketchbook. And so just do some heads. This is a study though, but I ripped the paper. Listen, I like this size sketchbook, but I hate perforated paper where like you can rip it out. I don't want to rip out the pages of my sketchbook. I know some people do, and that's nice, that's fine. But it's so hard to find these sketchbooks without a perforated edge. Like, all my pages are going to fall out. So these are actually hand drawings I did of my own hands. Just because I was like, I was in my car, I needed something to draw. And I was like, my hand is here. I'm not going to put on line of action to sit in the car for like 10 minutes and draw stuff. So I just drew these really fast of my own hand. And honestly, if you're learning to draw hands, there's nothing better than to just make poses with your own hands. You got 2 of them for free. And they say it's better to draw from life anyway. And I have 2 real life hands to draw whenever I want. Here are some landscapes that I fucked up. This is the page. You guys have seen this page. This is me planning out the first page of my new sketchbook. That's what that one is. More studies of my own hands. I think I like the other page better, but also I colored in that page and I didn't color this one, so that's probably part of it. Okay, so we're getting to that part of the sketchbook where I said I was working backwards. So we're going to see some things out of order because I drew stuff further back in the sketchbook first. So this is drawing of Kira in high school. I actually already came up with this high school design further back in the sketchbook. We're about to see it. This is Android 18. Pay no attention to her. I didn't finish it. This is a drawing you saw of this couple that I did on my channel. Okay, and this is them in the high school AU / middle school AU that I did of them. And this is just them having like a fallout. They like got in a fight with some other kids and it's making her sad or whatever. And he like ruined her night. So this is like an AU where they like met and like they were in an arranged marriage since they were kids. And so they met in middle / high school. And this is like a what if they had actually enjoyed their dance together. But yeah, kind of sad. Anyway, but I drew her crying. Kara crying just because I feel like she would not cry as an adult. She's like 28 in like the mainline story, and so she's kind of like shut off her emotions for like the purposes of like being like the leader of like her family or whatever. But when she was a kid, I feel like she hadn't got to that point yet. So I was like, we could draw her crying. It's okay. Some more studies. I like this one. I feel like this one came out really well. So this is more of that high school or slash middle school AU, just their first meeting. And this is him being, this is back when he was still like a go-getter in the story before he like gave up on everything. So he's like, why are you first? And she's like, because I did the best. And he's mad at her because he's like, hey, you're not supposed to be better than me at stuff. You're supposed to be my wife, my second in command. I'm supposed to be the one that's good at stuff. So like, know your place, because he's a little asshole, right? They grow out of that, obviously. But she's like, I know you didn't just say that to me. I'm about to ruin your whole life, bro. So she ends up going to the dance with like his biggest rival or whatever. This is their little dance looks. I think they look so cute here. Anyway, I drew with like these really wide open eyes. So usually when I draw her, you guys have seen her, she usually has like this like half smile on her face. Or like her eyes are closed, but usually like this little like smile on her face where her eyes are like half lidded and she's got like a really wide smile. And so she started doing that when she was younger, so she still got the smile, but she hasn't learned to like make her face less creepy, and so her eyes are all the way open. But eventually she learns to like chill out with that expression a little bit. I just like to draw characters with really wide open eyes because it makes them look creepy, and she's like really creepy when she was a teenager. This is a page of them after they get married. It's actually not finished because I wasn't really focused on the art. I was more focused on the dialogue. And so basically all it is, and also I drew like their pajamas. She wears pajamas to sleep, he doesn't, but I drew boxers on him for modesty's sake. Because at this point I knew I was going to show you guys my sketchbook and I didn't want to draw just wiener all out. Anyway, but yeah, so he's talking about her moving in to his place with him, and she's like into his rooms. Like they live in like this big space together with like the rest of like the family or whatever. But she's like, I'm not moving in with you. We don't have to do all of that. We're married, but we're like married on paper. And for me, like take over your family for you and like through like behind the scenes type things, we don't have to act like we're married. Just don't get anybody else pregnant and we're fine. And he's like disappointed because he kind of really wanted to be married to somebody that he loved. Isn't that so sweet? Anyway, more character interactions. This is them kissing for the first time. Anyway, I'm not gonna focus on that. Some more stuff. I'm not really gonna talk about it because it's inappropriate. Anyway, this is their first meeting that I like paneled out. I had actually written this and then I was like, well, I'll panel it out for like a comic. And so this is him waking up and he's stepping through, and this is actually not all of it. I was planning on making this in one shot, and so there's some stuff that comes before this, but this is just like the waking up scene this is the scene of them meeting. So he wakes up, he gets something from the fridge, she's there, he's surprised, and he's like, why are you in my house? Yada yada yada. He grabs her by the shirt, she doesn't like being touched, she breaks his thumb and she slams his face on the counter. And so he's like, oh, you're an assassin. She's like, I'm not an assassin, I'm your fiance. And so yeah, that's how the chapter was supposed to end. And then this is an alternate version of their first meeting where she's just introduced to him and he's like, oh, you're tall and that's weird. And she's like, what the hell? But basically I like this one better because it has violence. But yeah. But I do like the faces. I like this one. The before and after, the way that they used to look and the way that they look now. I much prefer the way that they look now. This is another comic that you guys have seen me do on my channel. This is more stuff. This is when I was redesigning them on my channel, when I was like, I want to figure out what I want them to look like now. This is what I came up with. Yeah. I think they've deviated from this just a little bit, but that's okay. Drawing, this was an alien of you, some of my old OCs. I was bringing them back because I was like, embrace the cringe. And so I was trying to embrace my cringe. But I didn't finish it because there's a third person who's supposed to be right here and I never finished. I had to redraw her face. I feel like the original face is not that bad, but I messed up her eyes. But I still don't really like this one either. I was going to draw another face over it, but I was like, forget it. This is some more redraws. I wanted to redraw some old pieces. but I didn't want to do full ones. So I was just doing them small, really quick thumbnail type drawings. We'll just pretend that this is rope. And we'll pretend that this is like bubble gum, okay? Don't think about it too hard. And then this was a drawing I was going to do of Hux and Ace after they I kicked them out of the story. They're like, we're leaving, and he's taking Ace with him. And the other characters were supposed to react, but I never ended up finishing it. And this is the human version of those characters. She got a big ass forehead, but she's always had a big ass forehead. And I think I'm going to keep it. I think it's fun. But yeah, so I never finished this one either. But I was just drawing them what they would look like currently. Just different ideas for them. And that's the last thing I drew. And then all that I have left is these little color studies I did for Yuzu and Umiko. And that's the end of the sketchbook. I never put anything back here. Just not super into loose leaf drawings. But that's the end of the sketchbook. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Sorry, I feel like the first commentary of the sketchbook I did was better. But like I said, my phone stopped recording, so we lost it. But anyway, that's the end of the sketchbook. Sorry I didn't show you all of the drawings in it. But like I said, I do tend to get embarrassed by some things. And so maybe one day I'll let you guys have a completely unfiltered look at some of my sketchbooks. But I doubt it. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Thank you guys for spending this time with me. I'll go ahead and see you in the next one. Bye.